Good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever we are in the world, and welcome to today's event. I hope we're all having a great day. Can everybody hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. We are so happy to be here. As you know, I just want to welcome everyone. Thank you for participating in this coming and being part of this event, and as well as participating in it. As you know, we as a company or as a nonprofit organization, our name is TouchLink. And in this month of October, we are actually having our 9th annual rally themed You Are Beautiful, where we are creating awareness against domestic violence, just talking about it, creating awareness about it, and just telling people who are either victims or survivors that you are really beautiful in this month. And as you know, we've been having a series of events to kind of commemorate this month, which is our National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, to kind of continue our strive in putting out the message against domestic violence and all the impact it could have on our women as well as our children, and kind of helping people come out of it. And today we're having a beautiful, beautiful speaker with us who's going to be talking to us about, strategies to reinvent your career. And before we kind of just dive right into the core of what we have today, we're just going to go over some of the activities that will be taking place today. We're going to be, for some of you who are either coming in contact with us for the first time, and when I mean us, I want you to know that we're talking about TouchLink, right? TouchLink. I'm going to be telling us a little bit about us, what we do, the kind of services we offer, and then we're going to be having our rules of engagement, and I'm going to be calling on our speaker, and then after that, who is going to, talk about everything concerning strategies on reinventing your career, what that means, right? The impact of domestic violence on your career, strategies on how you can then reinvent yourself, and then, pushing you out to the world to go ahead and reinvent yourself in the part that you are beautiful, and kind of highlighting the beauty that you have in the different aspects of your careers. We are then going to have our question and answer sessions, and then go over our upcoming events, and then close up the event, and hope to see you in our upcoming events, which is our closing rally. Do we have any questions? Okay, none so far.
We just want everybody to share their link. We only have 15 people. This session is so powerful. We want everybody to join. You see, you don't have to be a victim or survivor to enjoy this session or to get information from this session. So we should please, let's be our brother's keeper. I welcome everybody. Let's be our brother's keeper. Let's share the link. Just share it on your phone, wherever you're watching from. Just tell everybody to join. Let's do that in like 1 or 2 minutes. Let's invite everybody.
Absolutely. So just take the time to share the link. I'm sure that Gloria is going to share the link if you don't have it in our chat, and you can just from there share it to people all around and invite people to really come and hear, and not just like Pastor Yonda said, not just people who are domestic violence victims, but everybody can really, really, get something from our event today. And I know that we are a faith-based organization. So we're going to start today off by asking one of us, or asking a volunteer to please open us up in prayer. Anyone can go ahead and do that. Anyone? Okay, I'll just say 1 or 2 words of prayer. Father, we thank you. We ask that you will come and just speak through our speaker and enable us to hear what you have to say to us. Amen.
I can go ahead and pray as well. Do you want me to go ahead?
I already prayed.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, but thank you so much for volunteering to pray. I'm going to just give us a little bit of information about TouchLink for people who are, you know, who are coming in contact with TouchLink for the first time. You know, TouchLink is a nonprofit organization, and we provide support service to victims of domestic violence in need. Like, who are the people that we actually work with? We work with both women and children to break the cycle of domestic violence. And how do we achieve this? We achieve this through intervention crisis management programs in form of services that we provide. And what are these services? I know we provide counseling, we provide outreach programs, we provide, you know, advocacy programs, referral services, support groups, we provide workshops that can really enable people tap into the resources that they need to continue to survive and to strive in whatever environment they find themselves as survivors of domestic violence. And you know, we're just going to go over some of the rules of engagement that we have as the speaker comes up to speak. One, I'm going to ask everyone, please try and mute yourselves. Turn on the video as much as you can. If you can, just to encourage our speaker, encourage him, as well as show him that people are actually here and listening to him. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat. Post them in the chat. And, you know, if you want to wait till the end of the presentation, we ask you to actually wait till the end of the presentation. If you really do want to speak, you can use the reaction buttons to kind of raise your hands, and I will call on you to ask those questions. Give while the speaker is speaking and you feel like something he's saying is actually resonating with you, I would ask you to please use your reaction buttons to give like a signs up or thumbs up, something to really show that, you know, what he's saying resonates with you. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker. Our speaker for today is going to be Mr. Kunle Adeyemi. Mr. Kunle Adeyemi is a human resource professional with over 15 years of work experience, specifically in the international development space. He leads the organizational design and strategic workforce planning at the United Nations, where he oversees different strategic HR functions in relation to the business needs. Mr. Kunle is an alumnus of Coventry University Business School in the United Kingdom. And we are so glad to have him talk to us today about strategies to reinvent your career. So without further ado, let us put our hands together and welcome Mr. Kunle.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sister Peggy. Thank you for that warm introduction. I would like to say, you know, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from all around the world. Please drop in the chat wherever you're watching from. If you're around the globe, just tell us if you're watching from, you know, from London, from New York, from, you know, Maryland, from Dallas, wherever you're watching from, just, you know, please put that in the chat box, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to, you know, start off by just saying a quick thank you to the convener of the TouchLink, Pastor Yewande, for inviting me and giving me this platform to just share a few nuggets with all the participants. So Pastor Yewande, thank you very much for all that you're doing. You know, the Lord reward you, and, you know, we pray for you that you go from strength to strength in Jesus' name. All right. So, thank you, everyone. So today we're going to be looking at, you know, as part of the 9th annual rally for the TouchLink, we're going to be exploring a couple of strategies on how to reinvent our career. And, you know, that also tied into actually the theme of the TouchLink for this month. You are beautiful. And I think we shouldn't, you know, it's not just limited to one aspect or one area of our lives. I think it should be cut across all areas of our life. And I will be talking about this in relation to our career, in our, you know, how this is, you know, personally, I think it's something that is very very unique. And I think this session will add value to you and actually make people have more, just to have a soul searching time with themselves to explore how to navigate themselves in a career place and actually reinvent their career. And so it doesn't matter where you are in your career spectrum, whether you're still, for example, a stay-at-home mom trying to get a job, or you're already in a job, right? And you're trying to navigate the next one, and or you're already at the top of your career and you want to do something else. So I think this session will be very useful. I think you'll learn a thing or two from it. So before I move on, I want to share with us, I have two icebreakers for us. The very first one is showing on the screen now. So I would appreciate if people could just, for like 30 seconds, just, put in your answer in the chat box. So for the first one is, how long should you typically stay at the job? What do you think should be the right answer? And if you think the answer is actually not here, you can tell us what you think the answer should be. So I'll, look into the chat box, and I want to start getting reactions from everyone. Please just let me know. What do you think? How long should someone stay at the job? Just to gauge the perception of the participant today. All right, 4 years, 2 years, 2 years, 4 years, 2 years. Okay. Okay, so as long as the job benefits, you can stay. Okay, good. 4 years. I like it. So I can see it depends. Okay, I think that's a very good point. All right, so I think overall, someone said 5 years. That's good. So I'm going to close this one, and I'm going to give my answer very quickly. This is what we, this is a rule of thumb. We always typically say between 2 to 3 years to stay on a job, but it all depends on different factors. Like someone said in the chat. Some people can stay in a job if you meet all the demands that you're looking for. You fulfill your career aspiration in there. You can stay there for as long as you want, right? But typically, if I use a millennial as an example, or a Gen Z as an example, they probably will stay on the job between 2 to 3 years. That's what the trend has shown over the years, especially with the millennials that we have. I'll move on to the next one, and I'll see what people think about it. So we have the next icebreaker. What is the percentage of US workers that have the intention to leave their jobs in 2023? So the word here is very important, intention, right? What would be your guess? 35%? Okay. 70%? Okay, I like that. 70%? Wow. All right, any more? 22%? Okay, 50%? Got it. Okay, sounds good. All right, the right answer actually to this one, this is an article that was, this was a survey that ran on LinkedIn, and the outcome of the survey was 70% of US workers have the intention of leaving their job in this current year that we're all in, 2023. And that tells me something. If 70% of the workforce is thinking of changing job, some people say she think it's higher, which is, that's amazing. So that means, are we just all doing a job that we don't particularly enjoy? We don't fancy? And I think, are we doing something about it? Are we finding a way to make sure we make the working environment the kind of work that we want to do, something that we're going to enjoy? And I think that's where this particular presentation is very pivotal in my view, because it kind of, probably, if 70% of us are not actually happy with what we're doing, I think we should do something about it, and I think that's something that this presentation will intend to, cover, and hopefully we'll be able to galvanize conversation, and then we can move forward from there. So before I move on, I know we had our session last week, and then based on this, I want to tell us what is career reinvention? In my view, based on everything I've seen, I think career reinvention is a process, of learning, unlearning, or skills upgrade for the purpose of taking up a new role during the period of an occupational change. Like I said, this could mean different things for different people at every stage of their life. So for example, someone that's just a stay-at-home mom probably just wants to go back into the workforce. This process will be different, in terms of, career reinvention to someone that's in the middle of their career, as well as someone that's, probably at the C-suite level or at the top of their career. So for example, if you are just trying to get back into workforce, your process of learning or relearning for example, if you've done a job for some time, or you decide to do a stay home month for a couple of years, you probably need to relearn a lot of skills. The world of work has changed so dramatically, especially since the advent of since COVID. There's been so many transitions. So if someone hasn't worked for a long time, they will need to do a lot of relearning, not just learning. They have to relearn a lot of things because the dynamics of the workplace is changing. Another factor is people have to unlearn a lot of things as well. So that's the process of career reinvention in itself. It's not something static, right? It's something that we all have to think about and think, where am I in this journey? Where am I on this spectrum? What do I need to do? If you're in the middle of your career, are you looking for a promotion, or you're looking for a lateral move? Because sometimes it's not necessarily getting a promotion. You may just want a different job that gives you a different exposure, probably within your organization, probably within a different organization as well. So that's something we should always think about. Occupational change for every one of us is different. And also, when you're looking at career reinvention, it doesn't have to be in the career space in itself all alone, right? It could also be in an entrepreneurial journey. Do you want to move into entrepreneurial space? That's also a form of reinvention in itself. I can give you an example of someone that I know very well, and I really respect. If, someone that was doing very well in her career in the corporate America, and at some point she wasn't enjoying it anymore, she decided to found a business of her own, which currently is thriving. The business is doing very well. And the last time we had a conversation, she was telling me, I actually want to go back to corporate America, which is interesting to me that we can navigate all these things all together. At some point in her life, that wasn't working for her, and she pivoted into entrepreneurship. But right now, she wants to go back into the same corporate America. So the stage of life in which we are in and how we can actually pivot and reinvent ourselves is very important. So we shouldn't just limit ourselves to just career, but we should also focus on reinventing ourselves in terms of launching ourselves into entrepreneurship as well. And I think that's very important. And having set the stage, I think it's important for me to link this to domestic violence, and the reason I'm domestic abuse, and the reason I'm doing that is the last session that we had with Dr. Bolland last week, we talked a lot about trauma. We talked about, seeing psychotherapists. We talked about, seeing psychiatrists. Those kind of intervention require, resources, and so I think it's important for us to be empowered. And I think, based on that, I just wanted to give you statistics of what domestic abuse is doing in the workplace. The data that we have here says 60% of domestic violence victims lose their job because they are victim of abuse. And that's staggering. 60% of them. That's a lot of money that's been lost in there. A lot of families have been affected by that as well. A lot of individuals have been affected by that as well. So the fact that somebody is in a workplace doing very well doesn't mean the abuse stop because they are in the workplace. No. As an HR professional, I've had the opportunity of actually seeing so many letters from partners or spouses of people that are going through this kind of situation, writing different letters to the organization for different reasons, and that could potentially have a negative impact on their spouse in the workplace. So that's something really real. Just so I should, put a statistic out there for people to see. Victims of intimate partner violence lose a total of 8 million days of paid work each year. That's a staggering number. And the last one talks about the cost of intimate partner violence exceed 8.3 billion per year in the USA. Those numbers, when I saw them, those are things that I think, should make someone, reflect and think, how can we turn this around? How can we ensure that, in the career space, if people are going through abuse, we can support them. An organization can support them, the state can support them, and, and organizations like TouchLink as well can provide support to navigate this challenging situation. So I'll move on to my next slide. And I want to ask you, why do we need to reinvent our career? So, practically you're talking about reinvention. Why do I need to reinvent my career? Okay, I came up with a couple of points that I want to explore today. And the first one is talking about we live in a VUCA world. It's an Harvard professor that came up with this acronym. And VUCA, it means a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And I'm sure you all agree with me. The world we all live in now, it's so dynamic, ever changing, much more like ever before. We just went through COVID a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago. From there, we've had what we call, in the corporate world, there's been quiet quitting, there's been, we have waves of resignations, we've had the Ukraine war, Russia-Ukraine war is going on, affecting people's lives, supply chain issues, that's been going on. We're having Israel and Hamas issue going on right now. See, these things may seem far away, but they do have an impact on how we live our lives in respect of where you live around the world. So the world we are in is changing. We have to find a way to live our life, live our life, ensure that we do things within this space of world, because that's the dynamics of the world we live in right now. Secondly, the reason I think we need to reinvent our career, longevity. We're all living longer now. The average life expectancy in the USA, it's around 79 years old, I believe. They're about male and female. So if you're going to live up to 79, for some reason, you have to be doing what you enjoy. You don't want to live all that life not doing things that, people just shove into your face without necessarily, taking time and think, okay, this is exactly what I can do. I can flourish in. This is where, I derive value and I enjoy myself doing. So that's important. The next thing is technology. As we all know, technology is changing very rapidly. We're not living in the world of artificial intelligence. Things are changing very swiftly, right? You go into, a restaurant. My wife took me to a restaurant on my birthday, and it was a robot that was serving us. And that was interesting, right? We did not have too many people, walking around the restaurant. So these are things that, while some jobs may be cut, it's also creating job in some aspect of the economy. So we have to be aware of this. How will technology affect my own job? That's a part of reinvention, right? The job you're doing right now, artificial intelligence is here to stay. How will that impact your work? Have you started thinking about it? Are you trying leveraging on that? Coming up with innovation on how to actually do your job better. And I think that's important. Also, companies that we work for, corporate America, around the world, they're all evolving. I can give you a very simple example. The Twitter. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, there were a lot of people that he laid off at a point in time. People thought, oh, this thing is not going to work. Guess what? Twitter is working. It's working very well. So a lot of tech companies saw that, and there was this lot of massive layoff, because they wanted to hire less people to do more. So companies are also evolving. They're looking at what their competitors are doing, and they're learning from it. So we all, as as people as well, have to reinvent ourselves, learn from the situation, and learn from how the world, how evolving the world is going. Also, the expectation of a job has changed a lot over the years. In my parents' generation, they probably want to work for just one company all the days of your life, and they'll be happy. They put food on the table. That works very well. Now it's different. We want flexibility, right? I want organization that allow me to do hybrid. I want flexibility. I want to get all the perks that I can potentially lay my hands on, right? But from an employer perspective, that may not be the case. So, there may be a misalignment of what an employee and an employer want from each other. So that also is a factor that we need to be thinking about in terms of why we should reinvent our career. And having said all of this, so I'll be delving into the strategies and why I think, that can help us, galvanize some, soul searching, thinking from our hand on how to actually navigate our career and determine, reinvent our career. So the first one I've said is determine your why. Why do you want to reinvent your career? And I think that's very important. So it doesn't matter where you are, like I said, in your career spectrum, in your career journey. Why do you want to reinvent a career? And I think that's a very valid question. I actually believe if you can answer this question, you're probably halfway there to actually reinventing your career. Because I've seen people want, with the hope of reinventing their career just because they saw somebody doing the same thing. Or someone told them, I think that's the latest thing in town, so let's just do it. So I think that's very important. We all have to, why do you want to reinvent a career? Do you need flexibility? Is that the space of life in which you're in, where we want flexibility? When you have young children, you want to be able to stay home with them. You need a working environment that allows you that flexibility, where you can work from home 5 days a week. You don't care about any other thing or benefit per se at that point in time, but you want flexibility for now, just so you can align that with your family goals and family situation. So that's something we need to think about. Or are you feeling unchallenged in your work? Is it like you're doing something monotonous? You're not progressing. You're not making any advancement in your work. So I think that is very important in terms of why you want to reinvent your career. If we can get this right, and also I've sat in a lot of interviews in my career. Sometimes we ask people, why do you want this job? Why you want this job, it can go from A to Z in terms of how you respond to that question. That question can determine whether you actually get the job or you don't, right? So you have to be able to sell a story. You have to be able to tell us, what transferable skills you're bringing on board to the organization, what value add you're bringing in. So I think that's very key. So this is very important. I want everyone listening, if you're thinking of transitioning, if you're thinking of reinventing your career, you must understand your why. And how do you practically do that? There are a couple of ways you can do this, but I'll share something with you on my next slide that talks about ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese terminology, right? And one of the reasons why we use this in business school and in corporate world is it gives you an understanding of how the Japanese people. By the way, Japanese people are one of the people in the world that actually live longest, right? And one of the things they found out in this ikigai process is that they have found a way to put their life around a couple of things where that allows them to actually stay grounded, and they don't, so one of them is, they do what they love, so in an ikigai environment, it's like something that allows you to be able to find a niche or find something that just allow you, just it's a mission that you're working towards. So for this, I'll say, how do you turn your passion into purpose? So number one, using ikigai model. What do you love to do? What's your passion? If you don't know what your passion is, you can ask people around you. They will be able to tell you, this is what we think you're good at. But I believe every one of us should know what our passion is. What is that thing that makes you think? Like if I tell you, hey, can you do this for me? You jump at it without even thinking twice. That probably says a lot about who you are. So what is your passion? That's important. What are you good at? What are your skills? What are your talents? Those are things that you should be looking at. Yeah. What can you be paid for? We live in a world where if you provide value, people will pay for it. So what can you be paid for? And what does the world need? So if you look at the ikigai model, so if you want to determine your why, how enjoy, if you also need, just by the way, if I want to say, if you need a copy of this slide at the end of the presentation, you can drop your email, and I'm sure the organizers of the event will share the PowerPoint presentation with you. So what, this is important. I want everyone to look into this ikigai model and just explore, personalize it. What is it that, what do I love to do? Ask yourself those questions. What do I enjoy doing? So let's do that, and then I think that will help us in in determining why we want to move reinvent our career and how we can actually do that practically. So I'm moving on to my next reason why we should just to reinvent our career. Know your values. We can also tie this to determine your why, but this is a little bit different. So through our lives, things change. That's like I was saying previously. We depending on where we are at a particular point in time, our values can sometimes change, depending on a situation that we find ourselves, so can we, I think it's important for us to know, like I said previously, do you want flexibility? Do you want security in your job? So what is it that you need at this particular point in time? So if you determine what that is, right, and that will help you to navigate what the next move should be, in terms of reinventing your career. So for example, I can pick an example of flexibility. So I want flexibility. I have 2 young children, so I need to be able to work from home. So if you find a job that is going to take you to the middle of America, say somewhere in California, like 4 days in a week, you probably know that's not a job for you. Though the pay may be great, but it's probably not the way you want to go at that particular point in time, because you know your core value is, looking after your family and being there, being present. So we need to pay attention to our core value. What is it that we can do trade-offs with? And I think that's important. All right, I'll move on to the next slide, which is, we have to, while trying to reinvent your career, it will be very important for you to think outside of the box. And the reason I'm saying that is you have to, sometimes we get bogged down with the things that we do that we don't particularly fancy, not without pursuing the things that we really want to do, right? So, and I think one thing that will be very useful here is we need to ask, do a bit of soul searching. What is it that we can actually do very easily? What is it that people have told you over years? Oh my God, Kunle, you're so good at this. I think this is what you should be doing. I think you're so good at this particular thing. What are those things? How can we put those things to use? How can we monetize those things, for example? There are people that are very good. They have very, very solid skills at presentation. There are people that are very good at project management. There are people that are very good at, say, for example, people that decoration, they beautify places for you. There are people that are very good at organizing. There are people that are very good at project management. How do you monetize this? How do you put this to use? How do you ensure that this is at the forefront of the kind of skill set that you have, that you can actually project to a prospective employer, so that they know that you actually you're very versatile and you're probably doing it on a voluntary basis. I've seen people, for example, that in my church, where they volunteer, we do a lot of project management in terms of, for example, we organize a retreat, and it's always on a massive scale, right? You can actually break that down and put that on your resume, ensuring that you can, that's a project management, for example, but it just depends on how you put that across, to a prospective employer during interview, during one-on-one, during talk. I think that's very important. So in respect of what we are doing, whether we're doing something on a voluntary basis or not on a voluntary basis, we must make sure that we think about all those very well. So my next point is, how do you have to fill in the gaps? And I said fill in the gap means, like I said previously, where are you on the spectrum of your career? If you are just trying to move back into career, into full-time employment, say, for example, you have been a stay-at-home mom, as I said previously, and you want to transition, you want to go back into the workforce. How are you have to start, filling the gap, start looking at your resume, right? There are artificial intelligence bots that can actually help you just trying to get a feel of your resume right now. So you can do that. You can review what your resume looks like, is just to test the market, right? So that's very important. That's one thing you can try out. You also need to start thinking about, how do I do competency-based interview? Technical-based interview, how do I, have those kind of conversation? I think that's very important. So for someone trying to just move from, a stay-at-home mom into a workforce, I think that is very critical. You have to think about, do you need more education? If you're transitioning, I can give you an example. I have a friend of mine that moved to the United States a couple of years ago, and he was a brilliant lawyer from Nigeria. And then when he came to Dallas, he couldn't transition very quickly into being a legal professional. So what he did was to reinvent himself and started doing cybersecurity. Now he doesn't even want to do law anymore, because he's doing very well in a different space. So we have to know, how do we pivot very quickly? What kind of skills do you have? How do you ensure that you go to school? Do you need to go and do something on Udemy or LinkedIn Learning? Do you need to read? Do you need to research? Do you need to touch base with people that are actually doing that work already? So I think that's very important. For some people, they will have to actually go back to college and do a formal degree. That may be a route that you want to take, right? Depending on how big you want your career reinvention to be. So that's something you may want to do. For some people, you could just, brush up things up, by, exploring LinkedIn Learning, Udemy. There are a couple of platforms, actually YouTube. In my view, YouTube is one of the greatest universities in the world right now. You can learn so much from YouTube. There's so many good resources that you can leverage on YouTube that can just give you an understanding of, okay, these are the skill set that is required for the career direction in which you want to go. So we should, leverage on that. So it's important, depending on where you are in your career spectrum, that you have to go to a formal school or you have to learn something, by, different organization, different going to school, or you can do certifications as well. Someone just mentioned that as well, or do diploma. There are a couple of diploma that you can also do. You can also go to boot camp as well. Boot camp is also an opportunity. It's a very, a very unique opportunity that a lot of people explore. If you go to boot camp, you can learn, things in like 5 months and be, a very good professional, for example, in coding or in IT space. So that's something we can also explore. You can do short diplomas. You don't have to have a full degree. A short diploma, probably in payroll specialist or something like along that line. So it will be important for you to do a lot of digging into this. Depending on which area you want to go, do a bit more search, research on it. And, and from there you can go forward from there. And I'm sure there are also, free platforms that offer all sorts of support in terms of how people can reinvent themselves in terms of learning new skills and getting certificate on it as well. So I'll move on to my next slide, and it talks about rebranding yourself. And I think this is very important as well. Rebranding means, you've been doing X before, then now you want to transition to Y. What skill set do you have from X that transition you into Y? I think we must be able to talk about that. What is your core competencies? When you're talking about rebranding, you must be able to talk about the core competencies you're bringing in from A to B. And I think that's very important, and how they relate, how you can relate it. I gave an example of somebody volunteering as, in a project management, not probably, in a volunteering setting, but if you can bring that to bear, in a corporate setting, in a work setting, that is a huge experience, because all of these things work together. So you must be able to articulate yourself, brand yourself in such a way that, I have this experience. It may not have been in corporate America, but this is exactly, using different tools, to plan an event, and you talk about it, you feel confident about it. You can as well be able to do it in corporate America. So rebranding yourself, very important. We must always think about how we transition from, our experiences in terms of how we think about it, our transferable skills. That's very important when it comes to rebranding yourself. I'll be talking about the next point I'm talking about is networking. This cannot be overemphasized. Networking is very, very important. So for example, if you're in workplace already and you're thinking of moving to somewhere else, I think it's important for you to talk. It's important for you to network with people. It's important for you to have coffee break with people, talk about, find coaches and mentors within your organizations, that are already doing what you want to do. People are already doing what exactly you want to do. So go just, talk to them, send them emails. You can also go on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, please make sure you join. That's very important. That's one of, I think that's one of the tools if you're in corporate in the corporate world. It's better for you to be on LinkedIn. You can reach out to people and just say, I want to learn about what you're doing. Hopefully they will give you a couple of minutes of your time. Have a conversation. How do I get to where you are right now? People can show you and give you an idea of, these are the things I've done previously, and it may be very helpful for you. I also thought for people that are already in their career, they already have a job. See, doing a good job is a good thing. But I think you need to talk about your job. I think that's very important. A lot of people do a good job, but they don't speak about it. They're very conservative. And I understand that. Personalities can play a part in that, but you have to talk about yourself. You also talk about your achievement. You have to talk about what you're contributing to the workplace. You have to be visible, right? So you want to, ensure that you also have a sponsor within your organization. Who is advocating for you in a room where you're not? That's how the corporate world operates. Somebody must be in there that talks about you when you're not there. Like that person, if you give this opportunity, I trust you, he can deliver on the project. So don't just do a good job, and I want to impress this on everyone, ensure that you have a sponsor, an advocate, that can speak for you. And I think that is very important. But you can't do that without you, networking, having coffee break with people. If you, for example, in my organization, we have mentorship platform. So we mentor, younger people, people in the C-suite level, mentor for the middle management. So that creates some kind of synergy, and you can have people to talk to. So if you don't have that in your organization, you can also reach out. You can send an email to people. You can say, you see, I value what your team is doing. I like what you're doing over here. Can I just come talk to you about something? I think that's very important. So let's ensure that networking, it's very, very key. So I encourage everyone. If you get to work on Monday, please make sure you reach out to somebody. I'm sure you know somebody already that's probably doing something that you like. So reach out to them. Don't just do a good work. Let's network within our workplace. And that takes me to my next point, which is explore a range of options. When you're trying to reinvent your career, it's important for you to be flexible. Make sure you do have, I call it scenario planning. What's your scenario A? What's your scenario B? What's your scenario C? What do you feel about it? Do you like your scenario? If A doesn't work out, what about B? Because we live in a VUCA world, like I said previously. Things may not turn out exactly the way you want it to turn out. What are the options? How do you navigate those options? Have you thought about them? Have you done we call it, the SWOT analysis of an option? What's the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of each of the options? How do you, if A doesn't work out, if B works out, can you still live with that? Is this something that you can deal with? So, excuse me, let's stay flexible, as we explore, as we reinvent our career, because sometimes it can be a long wait. When the process of long waiting, what other options are we exploring? Let us not be fixated on one thing. I only want to work for Google. If you're not working for Google right now, can we do Amazon? Or can we do better? Can we do something else? Because I've seen people like, they already have, this is where I want to go, which I appreciate, but sometimes things doesn't work out very quickly. For we not to get frustrated, we must have options, and we must stay flexible. So that's very important as we reinvent our career. Stay flexible is very critical. I'll move on to my next point, which talks about try it on. Try it on. This is very important. Try it on. I have a few ideas I listed there. Volunteer to have a sense of what a job is like or what a career is like. So this also depends on where you are in your career. So for example, if someone that hasn't worked for like 5 years, 6 years, and you want to transition back into 9 to 5 or career, full-time career, you need to try something now. Think about volunteering, explore volunteering. TouchLink is an organization that actually gives people opportunity to volunteer. You can learn a few things from different people running project management programs. So I think that's something we can explore. Volunteer. If you're in the corporate world already and you want to, reinvent your career, I'm sure somebody's already doing what you want to do. Can you shadow the person? Can you go to a different department? Can you write to the head of that department and say, I appreciate what your team is doing. Data analytics, for example, I work in human resources and I use a lot of data. Can I just, come, shadow for like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, just to see how you guys use your data? How do you curate data? How do you mine your data? Where do you get data from? Showing interest. You see, this is another option. This is another way of you getting a sponsor. Right. So if a manager, if an executive somewhere is saying that you're showing this much interest in what they're doing in the other side of the organization, that can be a leverage for you to transition as well. So we shouldn't just, we should be proactive. That should be, that's my message. We can also try freelancing to gain more experience. You can actually, do some things. You can research things on Udemy or on LinkedIn Learning, and then you can start, trying to do things on your own by doing freelancing. Say, for example, if you're doing project management, you can do project management on the freelancing basis as an example. So that's something we can also explore. And then I also said, start a side hustle that can also turn into a full-time job. You know, if you have a passion, if you have a full-time job right now, you can also start. There's nothing stopping anyone from starting this side hustle. You know, as a matter of fact, I always advocate that we should have a side hustle. So having a side hustle is very important. That side hustle may actually be your passion. You know, and before you know it, if you grow it over time, it can eventually be your main job, where you can actually leave the corporate world and focus on that side also and growing into a bigger business that you imagine. So I think, like I said, there are a couple of ways in which this can be done, right? But we have to stay flexible. We have to stay focused and making sure that we're able to achieve this. And as I try to wrap up on this, I want to close on this note, that it's very important for you to remember that we have to be patient with ourselves, you know, in the process of reinventing career. Sometimes it's not straightforward, right? But we have to be patient. We have to be focused. We have to be dogged, you know, because it's going to happen. But it's a thing that has the time in it. You have to invest the time in it. And I think that's very important. So I will encourage everyone listening to me. Depending on where you are in your career journey, you know, people trying to get back into work, into workforce, and it's taking some time. Be persistent. I think it's gonna come. I believe it's gonna come. So be persistent on it. And I also want to mention the Pareto principle very quickly. The Pareto principle tells you that, like 80% of the outcomes of our life, or 80% of our outcomes generally, comes from 20% of the people, or 20% of the time. So for example, 80% of the outcomes in my life right now, you know, based on the principle that's been established for years and decades, comes from 20% of my input. So can I focus on that 20%? I think one of the things I've seen in people is like, we focus more on things that we don't do very well, you know, which is the 80%. We don't do those things very well. I'm not saying we shouldn't focus on them, but the 20% that is yielding the 80% productivity in your life, I think you should focus more on that. If you can focus more on those 20%, right, you can actually get more value for your life. So in an organization as well, 80% of the profits that comes from the organization comes from 20% of the staff, or 20% of the productivity of staff yield 80% of your increase in an organization. So what is your 20%? You know, I want to leave us with that. What is your 20%? Can you figure those out? Can you harness them more? You know, can you press on those 20% and get more results? I'm not saying you shouldn't focus on just improve on the 80%, but focus on 20% that's yielding the result that you currently have right now. And I also want to hand, we still live in a VUCA world. Nothing is, we as we are today, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow that can have an impact on our world. You know, we're still living in, the inflation is over the roof right now in the United States and across the world as well, right? We don't know what the next thing will be. So we live in a world that is ever changing. So as individuals as well, we have to be prepared. We have to be thinking ahead of the curve. How do I navigate in this world that is ever changing, that is volatile, that is uncertain, that is ambiguous, and it's complex? How do I navigate myself in here, right? So that's very important. That's a question I want everyone to think about throughout today. How do I navigate my career? How do I reinvent my career through a VUCA world, in a world that is volatile, in a world that is uncertain, in a world that is complex, in a world that is ambiguous? How do I navigate through all of this? I think we have to start thinking about that, and that will give us, and I believe as you reflect on this, ideas will start coming. And that's the power. That's a power of human being. When the ideas start coming, we start writing them down, we can reinvent our career. We can reinvent our lives. Right. Thank you very much. And I have a couple of resources that that I shared, that I have in here. So if you can reach out to TouchLink, they can provide you as many information as possible. I also attend Agape House of Worship, where I serve in the True World Ministry. We can help you with your resume review. We can help you with interview coaching. We can help you with, just having conversation generally about your career. So if you want to reach out to us, our email address is there. If somebody's looking at their resume right now, I put a chat GPT in the chat, open AI, that can help you, start talking about your resume. It can help you curate your resume. If you want to apply for a job, try it out. It's going to be very useful for you. Thank you very much, and I will be open to answer any question you may have. So I'll hand it over back to you, Sister Peggy. Do you have any questions, Ron?
Absolutely. I have, first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the wonderful conversation presentation that you've just taken us through. It's very revealing. It's very timely in the season where we live in a very volatile, ever-changing, ever-evolving world. And even in our career, even in our roles, where they say, and other duties. They're just leaving room for, as the world grows, as needs arises, things are going to change. So that word alone just got me thinking, that's actually what they're doing there, making you think of anything could come out. So how do I continue to be relevant in my space and continue to reinvent myself? So many, nuggets that I got from what you said. I know you talked about the Ikigai model, where we look at our purpose, we look at our talents, where we ask ourselves what we have in our hands that we can be paid for. When we say, what does the world need from us, and what does our skill, what skill do we have that can actually meet the needs of this world? So there's so many nuggets that I took out of it, and I hope we all took nuggets out of this. We have a couple questions. I have a couple questions, and please, if you have questions, please put them in the chats. We're going to go through it, and I'm going to ask. I think we have one question so far. Okay, it says, and that's from, I believe that's from Dolapo, Sister Dolapo. She said, thanks, Broccoli. What things can one take away to start being successful in their current role and career?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Sister Dolapo. So I'll try to there are a couple of things. It's not just one thing, but I will say generally, if you're just, say, for example, you're just starting out in your career, one thing I believe, for you to be successful is just have a can-do attitude to work. And a lot of people, I think that's one thing that I've seen that's beneficial to a lot of people that I've been in contact with. If you're starting out in your career, having a can-do attitude, like, I can do this thing irrespective of what it is, right? I can figure it out. I can research it. I can explore. I can ask questions. I can, you're available. You're engaged in the process. So I think the can-do attitude, in my view, is one thing that people should explore that can actually push you forward in your career endeavors. I hope that helps.
It sure does. Yes, she said it does. It does help. Absolutely. We have a second question. And the question says, how do you create your why that it becomes your selling point?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. Thank you. How do you create your why? I think the whole idea is we all have a story. I am an advocate of storytelling. Right. What's your story? How do you create your story to fit into what a potential employer is looking for? We all have stories. Sometimes we just don't reflect enough, or we are scared to share, or we're scared not to talk about it. I'll give you a very funny example. My very first job when I was in the UK, just coming out of college, I was in an interview, and I was just talking generally. So my mom passed away of cervical cancer, right? So after the interview has concluded, the interviewer was asking me a question. So I just said, I volunteer in a cancer research institute where I just do some work. I said, why do you do that? So I do that because, my mom had this. And after she hired me, maybe a year down the line, she told me that was the reason she hired me. Because her mom passed away because of the same issue. And we're like, I was passionate about it. And so you have a story, make sure you talk about it. right? We shouldn't be shy away from having conversation. And just to answer the question that was asked, make sure the story is in relation, because this is in the development space, is in relation to exactly what you're talking about, in the space you're going to. So if you're going to project management and you've handled project management, say, for example, in Agape House of Worship, don't shy away, don't think, oh, Agape is not, I don't want to, or you volunteered in TouchLink. Okay, TouchLink is not corporate Americas. No, use that experience, talk about it, see how you've touched, people with domestic abuse life, and that can actually be the impact in the marketplace. So we should talk about our story. That's important.
Thank you for that. We all have a story.
Yeah, we do.
Tell your story. Everything you buy, I think it's one thing we're beginning to see is everywhere you go around you right now, and the people who are selling something to you or telling you about something are telling you a story.
Yeah.
So tell your own story, put your own story out there, specifically as it relates to what it is you're looking to get into. I have one question before I call on Sister Dolatwo to speak. I mean, as we talk about reinventing our careers, so many people might sometimes mistake career and job, right? So can you tell us what is the difference between a career change and a new job?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So I'll put it this way, just to make it short so I don't stay on this for too long, because I can talk about this for a very long time. But so it's like this. Just think about a series of jobs, right? Makes up a career. A career is a long-term thing, right? But within your career spectrum, you're having jobs in between, right? So those jobs, it's what fill up your career, the entire career space. So as you pivot, as you move around, you can entirely shift your career in a different direction, in a positive direction or in the bad direction. So, but you should know that your career is a spectrum that is filled with jobs in between. I hope that helps.
Oh, that is on point. That is on point. And I hope people kind of got why that question was being asked. Your career is long-term. And then the jobs are the things that are the blocks, the lane blocks you use in kind of the scope of your career. All right, now I'm going to call on Sister Dolatwo. And after that, we're going to take the next question from Mr. John. And I think because we're a little bit on time, we can begin to round up. Okay, Sister Dolatwo, you can go ahead.
Sure. First of all, shout out to Kunle. Thank you. You just are dropping gems. I'm like, oh, so proud, so proud. So I wanted to just add a couple of things, just quick takeaways that I think has helped me as well in my career, that if you can take away today, would be very helpful. One thing that a lot of us don't do, and I don't think people understand, that one of the most critical skill sets you can have, regardless of what role or job you have, is selling.
Absolutely.
I think you called it storytelling, right? That's one way to call it, but selling yourself. A lot of us don't know how to. I'll give you an example. There are many times, there's someone that was helping me do work recently, and all I asked him to do was help me just put together all the people that are not as busy, that when they're not chargeable, that's what we call it in consulting, right? They're not chargeable. Just put together an email every week where you're sending it so we can keep them busy. Ultimately, he's thinking he's just performing a small task. What he did not realize is that by doing that task, just sending that email, right, we ended up our location became one of the highest, most productive, location across the United States, because we knew immediately every week who wasn't busy, we were keeping them chargeable. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So I told him, and I said, this is your story. When you talk to me, you should be selling that. You should say, even though I've been sending this email, this is the impact. A lot of us don't realize that small task that you have has a bigger impact. Yeah. The reason, there was a rift that happened at my job, and it didn't touch our team at all, because we were one of the highest producing teams. Makes sense? Yeah. So I say this to say, when you go and you have those one-on-ones with your bosses currently in your role, because you can reinvent your career within your current role. You don't have to change it, right? So I just want to implore you to have your bragging sheet.
Yeah.
You have those points of what you've done and talk about the impact. You need to start thinking bigger, that this little task I've done, how is it impacting? How is it impactful? When you have those one-on-ones, let your boss know. Don't wait for them to tell you. You tell them.
Yeah.
You got to sell yourself. And I'm telling you, it's harder for anyone to put you down when they know you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have your bragging sheets and you have evidence to prove it. So I just wanted to add that point, that no matter what role you're in right now, take a different approach. Start putting your bragging sheets. Start having quarterly or whatever, points or touch points with your bosses, and start selling yourself. Thank you. That's what I wanted to add.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Lapo. That was good. That was good.
Yes, that was really awesome. And just to add it, that's how you create sponsors at work. One thing that you said, you touched on, was sponsors. Having sponsors who speak for you when you are not in the room.
Yeah, that's important.
You cannot overemphasize the usefulness of having sponsors at work. And it comes from what's the said about selling, branding yourself, knowing your brand, branding yourself, selling it when you have your one-on-ones, and then that leads to you having sponsors. So thank you so much to the lot, but thank you, Brademi, Broccoli, for really the nugget that you're dropping. We have one last question, and then we'll just kind of, somebody said bragging sheet, have your bragging sheet. Absolutely. So we're going to take the last but not the least question, and I think we'll start rounding up from this. Over to you, Mr. John.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Johnny Bude, and I know I just got into this meeting like about 10-15 minutes ago, so I'm not really sure what has been discussed before I got in. My question is a friend of mine who has a. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There's a friend of mine who has put his money into stock exchange. I don't know if we discussed anything about stock exchange, before I got into this meeting. He put his money into into stock exchange, and he's afraid that he might end up losing the money, and also he's not gaining anything out of it, for the past 1 year or almost 2 years that he has put his money into the stock, So he decided to put the money out, the cash out. Now confused, he doesn't know what to do with money, and he don't want to keep spending the money. So he's just wondering what, and he said to go into franchise, but he want to do something with money. So he was advising me if I know anybody that will give him an advice on what to do with cash like that, that will a long-term, business or anything that will yield him, to benefit him in the future, rather than just spending the cash away.
Thank you, Brother John. I think Sister Delacqua is on the line. That's our expertise. Kunle is a career person, but I know Sister Delacqua. Are you still on?
We can. Yes. So Delacqua, go ahead.
She actually said to do wealth and everything. So Sister Delacqua, and go ahead.
I can jump in real quick, but I think Brother Kunle is our leader for True Wealth. I think we can give your friend a bit more attention one-on-one in terms of just answering more detailed questions. So please, PY, if we can just please provide True Wealth information or Brother Kunle's information, and he will direct that person. But high level, when you have cash, right, before you invest, you need to understand that the stock market will always go down and up. If you don't have the lever to be able to invest long term, start with a high yield savings. Right now, high yield savings accounts are yielding people up to 5%, right? Start there if you don't have the risk appetite. But also there are index funds. And again, I can't go into details here, but if you have cash on the side that you want to put money into and you want to start getting money, the first thing I tell people is don't worry. Don't even look at the money. Just leave it, because you make more money long-term in stocks. But if you're watching it every time it goes down, you're losing money. You're actually not losing money until you sell. It's when you sell it that you lose money. The money is unrealized, right? So even though it may seem like your account is so low, it doesn't make it it's not permanent yet because it can go up. Makes sense. So I would say for this person, there's a lot of advice we can, again, we're not financial advisors, but at least from experience on what we do, we can provide some guidance and point the person to the right in the right direction in terms of what they should do next.
Thank you, Sister Dolapo. Mr. John, I hope, some of my highlight thoughts and reasons has given you an idea of what to tell your firm. But most importantly is the fact that
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You are so much welcome. We have the True Wealth information, their email. We just put it on the chat. Please take that and pass it along to your friends, because, part of reinventing yourself is not just career, but you're also looking at how do I reinvent my money to make sure I'm having residual income, entrepreneurship, putting myself to be, all well situated in a world that is revolving continuously. So thank you for, your input, Sister Dolapo. Mr. John, we're looking forward to, meeting with your friend and helping them through whatever situation that they have and they need us to help them. And it's not just to Mr. John, everyone else here. If you have questions that you feel like, okay, we don't have enough time, but I really have these questions that I need help on, you can reach out to, when it talks about reinventing your career, you can actually reach out to True Wealth Ministry, and we can help you, answer all of those questions that you have, resume reviews, just guiding you, providing counsel as the need arises, right? So we want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Broccoli, for the great presentation on reinventing our career. I know people got some nuggets from it, if not a lot of nuggets. I tell you, I don't like to say the Bible. The Bible says, twice have you spoken. Is it once have you spoken? Twice have I heard, right? So we had this now, but you might need to go back and re-listen, re-watch this presentation to actually get the real nuggets. You'd be like, aha, I didn't hear this at that point, but I'm hearing it now, right? So please, let's make time to re-watch this video or re-watch this presentation as we go along. So thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to Brother Kunle. Use your reaction and just, give it to him.
Thank you.
It was awesome. Thank you. Okay, so yes, we have the link as well where you can rewatch this presentation. You can rewatch it and, take all the nuggets you want to take away from it. So as we prepare to round up this presentation, we're going to talk about our upcoming events. And our upcoming events. As you know, we've been having a series of events to commemorate our, 9th annual rally. And we've had Dr. Bolanle talk to us about mental health and the impact of domestic violence as well as trauma on it. We had Reverend Olufuke talk to us about reaching for your inner beauty or the beauty within. And today we had Brother Kunle talk to us about reinventing career and all of that. And to round off the month, we're going to be having our closing rally on Saturday, the 28th of October from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I'm going to be calling on PI to kind of talk more about that rally and what we need to do or the steps we need to do to make sure that we are part and parcel of what we are doing on that day. So PI, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It's been powerful today. Thank you, Kunle. Awesome wealth of knowledge and information. Really, I mean, this is free. This is something, even if you pay for it, you won't get all this type of information, and it's free. So I really, really, truly want to thank you so much for your knowledge and for sharing all these blessings with us. God will bless you. God will continue to increase you all around in Jesus' name. And also our great moderator, Peggy. This is actually our first time moderating, and this is beautiful for Touchlink. We thank you, we applaud you, God bless you. And to everybody, we are not done until we are done, right? We are not done until it's over. And next Saturday, this is an in-person walk. It's not going to be on Zoom. It's an in-person walk. We can't do it alone. It's rain or shine, rain or shine. So let's be there. Even people from Uganda and Charlotte. Thank you so much for being on the line. We invite you, buy your tickets and come down to Woodbridge Main Street and walk with us. Really, for us, it's about saving souls. What we are doing is about saving souls. It's about somebody's life is in danger. You know, every second matters. Every second matters because children are being raped. Yes, children are being raped on second by second. Every second. Like a lot of people are going through even near-death experiences if they are not even dying in like within 1 minute. So please join us. This year is about you are beautiful. We are looking from inside to the outside. Our beauty is not just what everybody see, but it comes from inside. That's why we did all these sessions. I want to encourage everybody, if you have not already done so, go and rewatch, go to our YouTube page. You know, they will put it on the chat box and go and rewatch some of our sessions. You know, one of our devotional for today, the word for you today, talks about being a blessing. You are blessed to be a blessing. In other words, saying that now that you are blessed, it's not just for you. You have to go out there and give it to somebody, you know, extend what you have received to somebody. So I just want to encourage everybody, let's be our brother's keeper. Let's do this. We are important. There's something for us to share. So let's go out there and make it. And join us on Saturday. It's going to be quick. Actually, we are by 11:30 will be over. So if you come at 10 o'clock, we are starting actually, some of us are going to be there like 8:30, 9 o'clock to set up. There's going to be DJ, there's going to be music, there's going to be, you know, different types of activities around. But more importantly, what's important is that you are there. Don't let anybody come there for you. You are there and we'll do the work and then we call it a day. And then we go with the resources into our job, into every place. And please, 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 we want you to register for the work. It's very important that you register for the work. That allows us to know how many people are coming. Registration is free. And also, I want to also tell everybody, we need your money. You know, some of all these things that we are doing takes money. We've spent a lot of money, but we are not getting anything back in return. We have a budget of $40,000. And right now, our collection, I mean, don't let me call it collection. The donation we have received so far is not even up to 10% of what we're looking for. So I just want to encourage everybody. I know you will give. I know you always support, but even if you work for a company that do employee matching, please reach out to us, reach out to me. We would definitely welcome that. We're also looking for partners, monthly partners, even if it's $50, $25 a month. See, your $25 goes a long way. $50 a month goes a long way. So we just want you to support us and help us, you know, project what we are doing so that we can reach more people. You know, this year alone, we've had over about 87 people who are directly blessed, 87 people directly. We are not even counting our clients, people that we directly blessed, you know, whether you are talking about people that we help from the streets to a hotel, from the hotel to renting a place for them, or people that we help with their career, or people that we send to training schools. And that's another thing that Touchline focused on doing, that we did this year, sending people to, you know, little certificate programs, training schools, paying for it, ensuring that at least they are able to get a career, get something that brings them money so that they don't always have to go back to the abuser or they don't end up on the street with their children. So this is there's a lot involved. So I just want to, and we are not being paid. We don't have grants from government. So again, we just want to encourage you. Let's do this together. God will bless you. And thank you for your time. Thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. I want to say thank you to all our sponsors, everybody that has been partnering, even people, our volunteers, people that are doing this, not asking for anything in return. God will bless you, multiply you. You know, God Almighty will increase you on all sides in Jesus' name. But I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody, for coming. I know some people quickly drop off, but I can see a lot of people here. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. God bless you. and have a blessed weekend, okay? I'm looking forward to see every one of you. Buy your tickets if you're out of state and join us next Saturday on 1 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey. God bless you. Love you all. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you, Brother John. Thank you, Stabisola. Thank you, Chineye. Thank you, Favor, Francisca.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
God bless
everyone.
you.
Glory. Thank you, Stado.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Jenna from Uganda. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Julie Chi. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, Mr. Dupe. Thank you, Brother Steve from Uganda. Thank you. It's nice to see all these people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Brother Tunde, thank you. Renata, thank you so much. Uchena, thank you. God bless you. Tunde Malomo. God bless you, everybody. Have a blessed weekend. God bless you.